Welcome back for more fun. We're off to the moon today, in theory. I've got my couple of Kerbals here, Jospy and Valentina. They will be our first Kerbals on the moon. In my last video, I parked a lunar lander in orbit, and so we're going to go up and meet it, and then it should be able to push us to the moon. Fingers crossed. Is spacebar not working? Okay, we'll just have to do it this way. That was really weird. That's never happened to me before. Not the most efficient launch I've ever done. Is this going to be a mission long thing? Oh well, I guess at least there's a button there. When I was getting into orbit here, I noticed that I'm actually pretty close to getting an encounter, so I decided to monkey around with the maneuver node by dragging it around, and yeah, sure enough, I think I'm just going to head over there. Alright, as I get close to them here, I'm going to kill out my velocity, and then head over to them, and kill it out again, and just kind of repeat that. I'm going to dock with this. It's basically just a lander with a booster rocket under it. It's kind of a lazy, combined in orbit version of a moon landing. It's overbuilt on purpose, because I expect to encounter bugs. You may have noticed that it was called a noon lander on the vehicle name, because of that bug where M would glitch out. It would make you go to the map in the vehicle builder. So I was just calling stuff noon for a while. So this thing is the noon lander. I just been keeping my eye on the nav ball and using IJK and L, and everything's lined up really good here. I'm very curious about how the combined ship will do being pushed by that engine. I'm going to be very slow on the throttle. Oh. Oops. Alright, that's how you dock properly. Excellent. Now, off to the moon. Let's try this combined spaceship. We gotta shut down our engine over here and make sure we're controlling from the right point. And we should be all set. Now let's just... Oh yeah, fuel crossfeed. We don't want any of those shenanigans either. I'm just going to plop down a maneuver and plan to accelerate and then just drag it around and see about where I get an encounter I like. Finally, they fixed it, and you can see what your orbital path is going to be when you're going by another sphere of influence. That looks really nice. I am really nervous how this is going to go all combined together, so I'm only going to give it about half throttle, and we'll see if it all holds together. So far, so good. You would think with all the combined spaceship stuff that they show in the trailers that this would... Ooh, there's some smushing going on there. Yeah, we're going to be really gentle with this and not give it a lot of inputs. All we got to do is get really fast until we're generally heading towards the moon. I suppose I am using one of the smaller docking ports. I bet the bigger ones are more stable. Well, I'm on a collision course with the moon, so I'm going to add a maneuver and just kind of fine-tune my approach. You want to be passing a body on the right so that you can get into a prograde orbit. Basically, the short version is it's more efficient if you're going the same direction that the planet or moon is spinning. As we swing by the moon here, roughly when we're at the periapsis, the PE number, we just want to fire retrograde and slow down until the moon captures us and we're just in the moon's sphere of influence. Now I'm just going to fine-tune my orbit a little bit until I get something I'm happy with. The idea is that I'm going to have to rendezvous with this thing back in Lunar orbit. Let's move over to the tuna can and prepare for descent. I'm really nervous to click this, because every time before everything would drop out of orbit. I still have a little bit of anxiety from the undocking sound, because my brain expects them to just fall out of the sky. Seeing as how I need that spaceship to get home, I'm going to burn over here just a little bit, just to get out of the way. Then I'm just going to burn my engine until I have a collision course with the surface. The name of the game is just to be sure we bleed off speed before we hit the ground, basically. If you can start burning when you would need to cancel out your velocity at the moment you hit the ground, that's the most efficient. But I can't do that. So we're just gonna burn our engine as I get scared that I'm going too fast, and as we get closer to the ground, you'll see the retrograde indicator creep its way to the top of the nav ball, and that's how we know we're falling straight down. Goodbye, transfer stage. You served me well. It actually did the transfer and most of the descent. I'm only getting rid of it because it's not going to be very landing friendly. This little craft should have more than enough delta V to land on the surface and fly all the way probably back to Kerbin. But then I realized the delta V number in the lower right is 0. I'm out of gas. So I had to load a quick save and back in orbit and start the whole descent again. Something happened and my whole lander expended all of its fuel. I think that it was probably a bug from the previous version having to do with decouplers acting like they had crossfeed enabled. So since this was built in the old version, that's my best guess, is that that was cross-feeding fuel. In either case, I had to pump what was left in there into my lander, and we're looking at like a half a tank to do the landing and ascent. So I'm really nervous about this, but we came all this way. And the little delta V number in the corner, if it can be trusted, then we should be plenty good. Because it only takes like, I think it's 800 to land. Let me know in the comments if you've got a trick to an efficient moon landing. Like I said, I usually just fall towards the surface, and when I get nervous I'm going too fast, I slow down until I'm comfortable that I can eyeball it and go, yeah, I could burn off 200 meters a second in that much altitude. I'm getting nervous about ascent. Thankfully, though, I think you only need like 500 or 600. Ooh, it's gonna be close. Ooh, it's getting real, ladies. We're really close to a lunar landing. Oh, sorry, mooner landing. 30 meters a second, 20. Yeah, we're good. We're great. And okay, and we still have about 700 something delta V in the lower corner. That's good news. Ooh, we can see our shadow. And that's how, ooh, whoa, it's really powdery. I wonder if that's a collision mistake or if the moon is actually powdery. Only one way to find out. All right, Valentina, the moment we've all been waiting for. What this whole program has built to this point. To see if it's powdery or not powdery. Not powdery is the answer. Way to go. Money well spent. Got to use the bracket keys to switch over to my lander, and Jospy wants to come out and play. Let's see how the jetpack handles here. Yeah, very similar to the first game. I'd even say it's probably identical. Excellent, that's good news, because I'm not sure about this ladder. The movement feels so much more fluid, it just feels so much better. I can really run around here. And she's bored. Alright, it's flag planting time. First landing, first Mun landing. And, I don't know, here's where we first landed? Yep, it's accurate. Boring, but accurate. Alright, flag planting time. Excellent. I can't wait till we can do custom flags again. But we've done it. Valentina's pretty jazzed about it. Jospy's like, yeah. Oh, okay, Valentina. Alright, oh dear. Alright, well, we're ready. Oh, cool, the arrow keys kind of move the camera around. That's neat. So it's like a photography mode. If I could figure out what my keys are doing. Okay, enough of that. Gonna use our handy dandy jetpacks and climb back into this tuna can. And then I guess we're out of here. We've accomplished our mission. Now, the next mission is, let's safely get back to the thing with parachutes on it. I decided to look at the map, and I noticed our return vehicle was on a impact trajectory, which is weird. I don't think it collided with anything, or the engine shouldn't have been activated. There's no reason that this should be falling out of orbit, so it could be a bug. In either case, that's exactly why I overbuilt these spaceships. So I'm just going to put it back in orbit, and then we're going to launch from the moon and go home. Up, up, and away! Same thing as on Kerbin. You want to be tipping to the right, to the east, towards the 90 degrees, because that's the direction the moon turns. But the big difference on the moon is there's no atmosphere, so you don't have to wait for the fluffy part. You can pretty much just start doing it right away. So as soon as I got into orbit here, I'm having this weird problem making maneuvers. They're just not working at all. I tried time warping to see if by chance I'd get an encounter. I tried quick saving and reloading. So the bad news is I'm going to have to rendezvous without maneuver nodes, and I'm going to have to return to Kerbin without maneuver nodes. The good thing is I still have my nav ball. The bad thing is that I personally have never done that before, so this is going to be a first for me. I'm realizing that I rely heavily on maneuver nodes. Probably my fourth quick load, I had this epiphany that, of course, things in higher orbits are going faster than things in lower orbits. So all I really need to do is, when I see that close encounter, slow down and watch the map until we're pretty close. The number in the lower left needs to be target. So click on it till it says target. And then as you get close, you make that number equal 0 by firing retrograde. Then you point at your target and you accelerate that direction and repeat. Here's an example of why you should always watch your nav ball. I was looking at the spaceships and not noticing that my prograde indicator was way over to the right on the nav ball. So of course I'm going to keep sliding that direction and not line up. So I decided to use the quote Matt Lown method of docking and switch over to my lander. You turn on SAS, you click on the target, you point them at each other, you point each of them at target and set each other as targets, and then you can just pretty much just accelerate by any means towards each other and they'll dock. It is pretty brilliant. So things that went wrong on this mission. There was that crossfeed issue where my lander was out of fuel, and then I had that problem where I couldn't make maneuver nodes. I got really frustrated. I actually had to save the game and quit and go do something else last night. I came back to it today to discover that, yeah, that's just the way it is. And I didn't think I was going to be able to rendezvous them together without maneuver nodes, but here we are, and I'm about to save my Kerbals, and then next we just head home. Like, we're home free. That's kind of how I'm feeling. Undocking still makes me nervous, but here we go. It's at this point that I realize that maneuver nodes still aren't working. I'm not sure why. I can't create them at all. I can't create them to go back to Kerbin. The idea is I'm in the Mun's sphere of influence, and so I need to accelerate so that it's not the dominant gravity on my spacecraft anymore. So as soon as I get to the AP in my orbit, which is the fastest point in my orbit, I'm going to accelerate until I see I'm intersecting with Kerbin or getting close to it. I'm actually going to decelerate even more just so that we can land on the light side of the planet. We nearly have back our first women to land on the moon. Goodbye, garbage. That was a close call. Makes sense, I'm falling straight down. I pretty much am going straight down. I think we're looking good. Ooh, all those debris are really tanking my frame rate. Splashdown, alright. Jospy and Valentina, safe back on Kerbin. After a swim, we'll recover our vessel and mission accomplished. I think that went pretty well overall in the end, after, some trial and error. And usually when those kind of weird bugs tend to happen, and they happened all the time in KSP1 as well, where just weird stuff's happening, the Kraken, you just really equate it to, in real life space travel, when stuff breaks, you've got to figure it out and work with what you have, and it's not always possible. And that's the scary part. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please leave a like if you haven't already, and if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated. Also, check out my website, fragmentedpoe.com. I updated it recently. All right, see you next time for more Kerbal shenanigans.